Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
In the evening, Meng Ze received a call from Luo Wei. So your parents agreed to let you hang out? Meng Ze felt incredible. Yes, it's about to be senior year of high school. How tense the next time is. I said a few more times that they didn't agree. How, isn't it great? Luo Wei said proudly. It's amazing. For his girlfriend, Meng Ze is full of praise. Just let's go. Meng Ze asked. Of course not, it's me and you and Ling Ling, the three of us. Ling Ling really agreed to go together? It's going to be a few days. Meng Ze always felt that Zhang Lingling was an excuse, but he didn't expect to really go together. It's already been said, my mother has asked Lingling's mother, if Lingling doesn't go, I definitely won't be able to go out. Meng Ze thought about it too, and estimated that Luo Wei's parents also agreed because they were accompanied. Meng Ze then formed a group to pull the two girls together. The three quickly agreed to fly tomorrow. Both girls were excited about this, and neither of them had ever been on a plane since they were young. You guys send me your ID card first. I booked tickets now, and I can experience it tomorrow. Okay, little white brother. Victory, picture. 35. When the ID card arrived, Meng Ze booked a ticket for 10 a.m. and sent the booking information to the group. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Meng Ze asked. My parents are expected to drop me off at the airport, Luo Wei said. My family probably too. 35. In this way, then let's meet in the airport. By the way, try to bring as few things as possible. What is missing go directly to Suing to buy, otherwise it is inconvenient to bring a lot of things. Meng Ze concluded. The next day, Meng Ze washed up early at 8 o'clock and went out with a small backpack. I found a random breakfast restaurant on the side of the road and had breakfast, and I went straight to the airport. After picking up his ticket at the airport, Meng Ze did not go to the departure room first, but posted a location in the group and waited. After about half an hour, Meng Ze found Luo Wei and Zhang Lingling, as well as their parents, and the two families had come together. Meng Ze paid special attention to Luo Wei's parents. This is the first time he has seen it. Father Luo looks gentle and elegant, but the amount of hair on his head is a little worrying. Mother Luo has a beautiful face, a tall figure, and a mature charm. It can be seen that she must have been a big beauty when she was young. Luo Wei arrived at the ticket pickup point, naturally looked around, saw Meng Ze in the corner, winked at him, and naturally turned his head. Zhang Lingling also saw Meng Ze, but she was not at all quiet. After taking the tickets, the girls' parents gave another advice and then watched them reluctantly enter the departure lounge. Meng Ze waited until Luo Wei's parents left before entering the lounge, but this always felt weak. Luo Wei and Zhang Lingling were indeed waiting for him not far from inside. How? Seeing Vivi's parents are not afraid? Zhang Lingling does not open which pot. I'm afraid of anything. If Vivi is 2 years older, I can rush directly to them and ask my father-in-law and mother-in-law to marry their daughter to me. At this time, Meng Ze is not worthy, at least in words. Father-in-law and mother-in-law? Little white brother, you are really not ashamed. Sooner or later anyway. Meng Ze grabbed Luo Wei and said to Zhang Lingling. The girl's face was slightly red, but she didn't move, letting Meng Ze hold her. Seeing this scene, Zhang Lingling sighed in her heart, and she was in no mood to speak. The plane was not delayed, and the three got on the plane on time. Meng Ze chose 3 people to sit in a row when buying tickets, considering that neither of the 2 girls had ever been on a plane, and deliberately let both girls inside and sat in the corridor by himself. Luo Wei chose to sit in the middle, leaning on Meng Ze, and let Zhang Lingling sit by the window. As soon as they sat down, Meng Ze and Luo Wei's hands shook together. Zhang Lingling ate a mouthful full of dog food, and instantly felt that the seat by the window was no longer fragrant. The plane flew smoothly, the weather was suitable, and the view was good. Originally, mobile phones were not allowed to be used on the plane, but Zhang Lingling and Luo Wei still secretly took a lot of photos as a commemoration. The 2-hour flight arrived quickly. Meng Ze made an appointment in advance to wait outside the airport. The three of them took their luggage and drove all the way to the B&B next to Westlake booked by Meng Ze. Huh? Actually booked 3? Little white brother, 2 rooms are fine. Seeing Meng Ze get 3 room cards, Zhang Lingling was a little surprised. No need to save that little money, 1 room per person, more comfortable. Meng Ze replied. The 3 put their luggage down and gathered together again. Meng Ze took out the strategy that had been prepared long ago and said, "Today and tomorrow, we will play all over the Westlake. The internet said that the 10 views of the Westlake are good. We have enough time. How about going to see it?" Seeing Meng Ze had been prepared, the 2 women had no opinion. "Then let's go eat first, and when we are full, we will just go shopping and digest," Meng Ze proposed. "Then I'll eat Westlake vinegar fish," Zhang Lingling said. "No problem, find a place first and then you can eat whatever you want." Based on online reviews, Meng Ze took his 2 daughters to find a restaurant that was said to be good. Westlake vinegar fish, longjing shrimp, scallion wrapped in juniper, ghee cake called flower boy chicken. Hangzhou's specialties were served quickly. After trying it, I felt good and ate a meal with relish. After eating, Zhang Lingling patted her little belly and said, "I ate so well, I don't want to move." Meng Ze was speechless and signaled Luo Wei to pull Zhang Lingling up and drag her away. Looking at the map, Meng Ze chose to start the tour from the nearest flower harbor to watch fish, originally planned to walk 4 or 5 attractions this afternoon, but unexpectedly, only to see the 3rd attraction Leifeng Tower. The 2 women did not want to move. Meng Ze was helpless, so he had to take a taxi back to the homestay. Dinner was eaten at the B&B, although the style of the dishes is not as much as in the restaurants outside, but the taste is also good. After eating, I went out to see the night scene for a while, and the day passed. "Good night, little white brother. Good night, Vivi." Zhang Lingling and the 2 said good night and went back to their room with a yawn. Meng Ze put her mouth to Luo Wei's ear and said a few words, and the girl's face suddenly turned red to the base of her neck. Meng Ze took a step back and looked at the girl without speaking. For a long time, the girl nodded gently and then hurriedly turned around and returned to the room in a panic. Meng Ze looked at Zhang Lingling's closed door and felt proud. How can it be a waste to book an extra room? Think too much. Back in his room, Meng Ze took a shower as quickly as he could and was about to go out when he suddenly thought of something. "AKA, you know what I want to ask, right? If you can, AKA really wants to brainwash Meng Ze. Especially, what kind of broken things do you think, when I am a universal nanny, you actually want to ask me if I can contraception?" In the words of Meng Ze's head, AKA just wanted to say, "This Meng Ze, what a thing." AKA didn't want to pay attention, but couldn't stop Meng Ze from asking again and again, as if swiping the screen. "Do you know how old Meng Shaowen is?" AKA was helpless and sent a question. "I don't know. It seems that although the grade is not big, it seems that the people of the Imperial Federation have a long lifespan." Meng Ze answered in his head. "With the time of Blue Star, 1830 years old." "I wipe." Meng Ze was taken aback. Meng Shaowen looks at most 50 or 60 years old. This is still considering his full head of white hair. Otherwise, just looking at his face, he will definitely not be more than 50 years old. Meng Ze didn't expect the other party to be so old. However, how old is Meng Shaowen and what does it have to do with him? AKA knew what Meng Ze was thinking and said, "How many children does Meng Shaowen have?" 3. Meng Ze reacted instantly. "Are you supposed to say me too? You use 10 enhanced gene reagents and theoretically, your physique has infinitely approached or even surpassed those who have undergone multiple genetic enhancements in the Imperial Federation. These people all have one thing in common, you should guess it. 35 Akadeo. Low fertility? Wang Nua Jiao. Yes, even the strengthened husband and wife of the Imperial Federation are difficult to get pregnant, not to mention that your girlfriend is still a Blue Star native, so if you want to get pregnant, then you have to have great luck." After listening to AKA's words, Meng Ze didn't know whether to be happy or worried. He naturally doesn't want children now, but who can say for sure in the future? Stunned for a moment, Meng Ze shook his head and put the thought aside to think about later. Coming out of the room, Meng Ze looked at Zhang Lingling's door with a weak heart. Very good, no movement. Gently knocked on Luo Wei's door, and after several minutes, the door finally opened. Meng Ze dodged in and closed the door with his backhand. The girl in the house had already taken a bath, and Meng Ze smelled the girl's good smell as soon as she entered the door. Luo Wei twisted her fingers. She was very nervous. She looked at Meng Ze. Her eyes were full of shyness and unease. Meng Ze hugged the girl in his arms and felt the girl's soft and delicate body. Brother Sobai, I'm afraid. Vivi, don't be afraid. I will always love you. We will always be together. Meng Ze heard the girl's mosquito-like response. Bend down, put your hand on the crook of the girl's leg, gently pick the girl up, and walk towards the bed. The next morning, Meng Ze told Zhang Lingling that because Luo Wei walked too much yesterday and her feet hurt, today's trip was cancelled. If you don't go out, my calves are also a little sore. I didn't expect Vivi to perform worse than me. Zhang Lingling said indifferently, and at the same time expressed her contempt for her girlfriend. The three played poker at the BNB for a day, and after Zhang Lingling left in the evening, Meng Ze also helped Luo Wei do a foot massage until after 6 o'clock the next morning. On the third day, the suspended tour itinerary finally opened again, and after this day, the 10 views of Westlake finally advanced to the 7th attraction. Zhang Lingling always feels that the relationship between Luo Wei and Meng Ze is closer. For example, when the two took pictures, Vivi actually took the initiative to lean into Meng Ze's arms. For example, when Vivi was tired of walking, she actually coquettishly let Meng Ze carry her. Then when eating, put things you don't like to eat directly into the Meng Ze bowl, and so on. At night, while the two were alone, Zhang Lingling suddenly asked Luo Wei, Wei, what step has you and Brother Xiaobai reached? What step? The girl who was not good at covering up suddenly panicked. You guys actually are. Zhang Lingling knows a lot about her girlfriends, and when she looks at Luo Wei's appearance, she understands everything. Lingling, don't say 697. 35 Luo Wei hurriedly covered her girlfriend's mouth and did not let go until Zhang Lingling nodded. Vivi, will you get pregnant? Zhang Lingling asked with some concern. Luo Wei shook her head and said, Brother Xiaobai said no. What if? If anything, I will marry her and then love her for the rest of my life. Meng Ze happened to come in from outside at this time and heard the girls' conversation. After saying this, Meng Ze looked at Zhang Lingling and said, Don't you think I can't afford to raise Weiwei? Brother Xiaobai, of course I don't think so, but your job. Zhang Lingling apparently felt that Meng Ze's job was unsafe. I'm unemployed, Meng Ze said righteously. Huh? Zhang Lingling and Luo Wei were both shocked and thought that they had misheard. Brother Xiaobai, you resigned? Luo Wei asked. The company was robbed and went out of business. The two women were speechless. What if you don't have a job? After a while, Zhang Lingling asked. It doesn't matter if you don't have a job, you don't lack money, you can arrange it in the future, and you can do whatever you want. 99. Then, Meng Ze looked at Luo Wei and said, Vivi, don't worry, I have also made financial investments and have long achieved financial freedom. AFDF, Acre, you know. Meng Ze called out in his head. AKA was speechless for a while, but he didn't plan to tear down Meng Ze's stage. I saw Meng Ze pick up the mobile phone for a while, and on the mobile phone, the balance of a bank account was displayed. Zhang Lingling didn't treat herself as an outsider at all, and took it directly, and at a glance, there were many zeros. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 100, million, million, billion, 10 billion. Zhang Lingling's eyes were as big as Tang Yuan, and she couldn't believe that Meng Ze was actually a billionaire. Fake, fake, fake? Zhang Lingling spoke a little unfavorably. Luo Wei looked at the mobile phone and looked at it in disbelief. She thought that even if Meng Ze was rich, a few million would be good. The girl's feelings are the most pure, and they have nothing to do with money. Although Meng Ze's face was forced to be calm, he was also very shocked in his heart, and he didn't expect AKA to do so much at once. And this amount obviously cannot be exchanged from the interstellar world. After countless big scenes, Meng Ze quickly calmed down. Calmly took the mobile phone from Luo Wei's hand and directly transferred 100,000 to Luo Wei's microchat. Then picked up Luo Wei's mobile phone, clicked it, and with a ding, 100,000 yuan arrived in the account. Then look at Meng Ze's phone. The balance that was originally 1 and many zeros became 5 nines and 5 zeros. Believe it? 95, Meng Ze said. Believed. 99. Seeing is believing. Zhang Lingling had to believe it. Brother Xiaobai, how can you have so much money? Luo Wei's first thought was the source of the money. Looking at Luo Wei's worried eyes. AKA, you know. Meng Ze shouted in his head. AKA felt like he was on the verge of becoming Meng Ze's professional finishing tool. No, I have to get paid myself. I have to suck a little more on Meng Ze today. While thinking, I had to set the stage for Meng Ze. Meng Ze swiped across his phone and opened a financial app. Meng Ze can't operate at all, so he can only follow the prompts of AKA in his mind and click on it step by step. Finally, pages and pages of operation records are displayed. It clearly documents how Meng Ze's wealth has ballooned rapidly. Now rest assured, Vivi, all my money comes from the right source. Brother Xiaobai, it's not that I don't believe you, Luo Wei hurriedly explained. No need to explain, I know. Meng Ze interrupted the girl, hugged her, and kissed her. If you have a wife like this, what can your husband ask for? Zhang Lingling watched the kiss of the two of them as if there was no one next to her, treating herself as nothing, and her heart was sour for no reason. Vivi has found her home, but what about herself? Because Zhang Lingling knew everything, and Meng Ze simply stopped shy away from it. Directly returned a room and lived with Luo Wei in an upright manner. In the past 3 days on the interstellar world, Meng Ze has entered very little. Only when the girl is asleep, he secretly went in to do a few missions, and he had to let AKA let the wind go. The dog head bun and the dog head dumpling have adjusted their mentality. When Meng Ze is around, the three of them are happy to do team tasks, and when Meng Ze is not there, the two no longer suffer from gains and losses. Although Meng Ze didn't get in much, in 3 days, the two of them also had an income of 1 or 2 billion a day, much better than before. On the 4th day, the tourist trio finally finished visiting the remaining attractions of West Lake. On the 5th day, the three of them transferred to Qiandao Lake and enjoyed the beautiful scenery of Qiandao Lake, the blue waves of Qiandao Lake, the beautiful scenery of Thousand Islands, the mountains stacked with greenery, the deep canyons, the beautiful streams, and the strange travertines. On the 6th day, visit Sisi National Wetland Park and enjoy the 3 embankments and 10 scenes of Sisi National Wetland Park. On the last day of the holiday, the three did not stay any longer, packed their belongings early in the morning and went to the airport. Little white brother, I can't bear you. On the plane, Luo Wei leaned into Meng Ze's arms, looking reluctant. It's okay. It's not that you can't see it. I'm at home. When you miss me, you call, I'll pick you up. Meng Ze reassured. Zhang Lingling felt that she shouldn't come this time. The dog food was simply full every day, and she didn't know what evil she had created in her previous life. But fortunately, I was finally home. Before getting off the plane, Zhang Lingling suddenly thought of something and asked, Brother Xiaobai, you bought the one you gave us to eat, right? The reason for this question is that Zhang Lingling suddenly thought that Meng Ze is so rich, most of them can know some channels that ordinary people don't know. What's wrong? Meng Ze didn't answer directly. How much? It's not worth much. I don't believe it. How many millions? Do you really believe it? Meng Ze looked at Zhang Lingling's appearance. He said millions. This girl really believed it. After separating from Luowei, Meng Ze took a taxi home. For this trip, he is still relatively satisfied. The relationship between himself and Vivi finally broke through the last step. Vivi changed from a girlfriend to a fiancé, and her lifelong affairs were solved. Next, we will put our energy into preparing for the world mission. Although Meng Ze doesn't know what is special about the world mission, since he knows the purpose of the interstellar world, coupled with the special mention of the fantasy star, Meng Ze naturally does not underestimate the importance of the world mission. As soon as he arrived home, Meng Ze entered the interstellar world. First, I took a look at the strength of the troops I now have. The total number of troops on the planet has exceeded 15 million, and considering the possible needs of the world mission, Meng Ze is ready to increase the number of troops to 50 million. The Space Force now has 15,000 Starfire-class frigates, 1,600 Starfire-class destroyers, 500 Starfire-class battleships, 100 Starfire-class cruisers, 40 Planet-class motherships, and 500 Prism-class battlefield monitor survey ships. The number of battleships has more than doubled since Meng Ze went out. Then I took a look at the building. During this time, Meng Ze increased and adjusted the number of various major buildings according to his own understanding. Supply and technology buildings go without saying. The construction of soldiers remained largely unchanged because their resources could not keep up. Among other buildings, the increase is more than the anti-aircraft turret and the defense and early warning center. And the super-large electromagnetic railgun, which was originally very useful in Meng Ze's mind, was regarded as a chicken rib by Meng Ze after experiencing the firepower of battleships and personally attacking planets many times. When the planetary force field shield is opened, the super-large electromagnetic railgun is of little use and is still limited. And when the planetary force field shield fails, this resistance to firepower can only be said to be better than nothing for a large number of warships. And this kind of construction is not cheap. Therefore, how to protect their own planetary force field amplifier is the top priority, and the status of air defense turrets and early warning defense centers has been improved. Paired with a high number of heavily rearmed, Meng Ze's planetary force field amplifier building is impenetrable. As the size of the planet changes, Meng Ze's planetary force field amplifier has been rebuilt, and now the strength of the building alone is as high as 200 million. Meng Ze also set up a super-large energy field shield specifically for it, with a strength of up to 2 billion. If you add the protective force field of the planetary force field shield and the force field amplifier itself, even Meng Ze himself can't break it now. But if the new tactics are adopted as before, the three companies will work together, and Meng Ze will still not be able to bear it. However, the planetary force field amplifier is not Meng Ze's strongest defensive building, and the strongest defense is naturally Meng Ze's command center, especially his own headquarters command center. The strength of the energy field shield alone exceeds 5 billion, and it also has its own dimensional protection force field. Unless the planetary force field shield is broken and the battleship is used to gather fire, it is safe. After roughly sorting out his situation, Meng Ze went to look at the announcements about world missions on the world platform again. I don't know for what reason, the world mission did not announce the official opening time, but only announced an approximate date, within 3 months. That could be in a few days, or it could be a month or two later. Meng Ze doesn't feel like he's running out of time. After sending a communication to the dog head bun and the dog head dumpling and about half an hour to start the team mission together, Meng Ze began to mobilize the battleship to prepare. Ulster civilization. If the 2 points of the solar system and the center of the Milky Way are taken as references, the territory of the 5th level civilization of the BSY ** Milky Way river system Ulster is diagonally separated from the center of the Milky Way from the solar system. This is the luck of the blue star humans. At this time, the Ulster civilization was experiencing civil strife, which was said to have caused a high-ranking general named Karita in Ulster, dissatisfied with the civilized leadership's policy towards foreign races, and suddenly launched a rebellion and ceded his territory. Originally, the power of this general could only be regarded as one of the several major forces of the Ulster military, but he didn't know where he got extremely advanced shield technology, which led to a great increase in military strength, and actually fought with the Ulster government army. Moreover, Karita claimed to allow a high degree of autonomy for vassal races/civilizations in its territory, which led to the defection of many small and medium-sized civilizations that Ulster had previously subdued. And after a period of time between the two sides, Karita even had a small advantage. During this period, a fourth-level alien civilization called the Otero civilization quietly joined the side of Karita and occupied a large territory as a dominion. The mysterious Otero civilization hardly interacted with other civilizations and did not allow other civilizations to enter its territory, and Karita did not allow this. And because the Otero civilization is the only fourth-level civilization under Karita, Karita also gives the other party the right to freely expand the territory. 0. Ask for flowers. Initially, some of Karita's subordinates were a little worried about this, but after being summoned by Karita, they changed their positions. Everyone felt that the Otero civilization must have secretly reached some secret agreement with Karita. For the next month, Meng Ze's daily work was basically arranging production and brushing points. Luowei came to stay for a day except for weekends and was busy making up classes at other times. On this day, when Meng Ze was about to continue to invite the dog-headed buns to do team tasks, the bun boss sent a communication first. Meng Ze, a new adventure battlefield has appeared, only 200 light years away from you. Do you want to participate? 00. The bun boss brought Meng Ze a surprise news. Strange encounters can be encountered on the battlefield, and there is no pattern to be seen. More often, within a month, there may be 2 or 3 strange encounters on the battlefield, and when there are few, maybe not once in 3 months. What's more, the location of the adventure battlefield is also uncertain. If you appear too far away from the player, even if you use space jumps, by the time it passes, it may be over. Space jumping is not time-free, but greatly shortens the space distance. Depending on the technology level, the time consumed by space jumps varies. Generally speaking, a level 4 player space jump consumes 1 day for every 100 light years of distance jumped. From the appearance to the stability of the battlefield, the time of the adventure battlefield is long and short, but it is generally about 3 days. Once stabilized, the battle usually ends within a day. In other words, the adventure battlefield that Meng Ze can participate in is as far as 400 light years around the base planet. And this adventure battlefield, so close to the Meng Ze base star, is obviously not something that dog-headed buns and others can participate in. Big guy, thank you. This kind of good opportunity, I definitely want to participate. Meng Ze's news was nowhere near as well-informed as the dog-headed bun, and if it hadn't been for the dog-headed bun telling him, perhaps he would have missed this great opportunity. I'll send you the coordinates. It's been less than half a day since the Chiyu battlefield just appeared. You go and prepare. It will definitely be in time. 35. The dog-headed bun is not much nonsense and directly sent the coordinates of the adventure battlefield with. Performing ultra-long-range interstellar space jumping is still the first time for a big girl to get on a sedan chair for Meng Ze, so he also asks the dog-headed bun for experience. Ultra-long-range space jumps are still risky for us level 4 players. Dog-ed bun road. Because we don't have hyperspace detection capabilities when we make space jumps in dimensional space, we are basically blind, but we only retain the ability to communicate with the command space. There are 3 main risks of space jumping. One is a dimensional storm in dimensional space, the second is an attack from a 5th-level player, and the third is an abnormal position when jumping out of space. Dimensional storms are very frequent in some areas, and the frequency in some areas is very low. This depends on luck, but when you jump in space and encounter a dimensional storm, then stop the jump and return to normal space from dimensional space to dodge. Although there will be certain losses, 703. It is inevitable. The second, I believe you also know, The 5th level player has the ability to attack in hyperspace. This attack not only reduces the attack time, but also includes the ability to attack in the dimensional space. So if you have a feud with the 5th level player, then don't enter the dimensional space in front of him, otherwise you can only be beaten passively. The third is that the position of jumping out of space is not right. For example, if there is a planet in the position of jumping out of dimensional space, or the fleet of other players, it is the scene of the ship disaster. So there is usually a leading battleship as a pathfinder. Even if there is a situation, it will not be completely destroyed. Meng Ze nodded, and the Bun boss's words made him refreshed, and he had a bottom on the risk of ultra-long-range space jumps. By the way, there is another thing. You must plan the jump route before the space jump. If there are planets or other stars on the way, then you must avoid it in advance, or divide into multiple space jumps, otherwise it will be unpredictable. The dog-headed Bun finally added. Okay, thanks guy. 35. Hang up the communication, and Meng Ze's fleet is almost mobilized. As for the dog-headed Bun said about planning space jump routes, because Meng Ze has a space observatory, this is easy. Don't look at the fact that there are so many planets and they are so big, but compared to the interstellar void, it is like throwing a handful of sand into a large lake, and there are many more empty places than affected places. Based on the star map and the coordinates entered by Meng Ze, She-Brain quickly calculated a theoretically safe space jump route. The Adventure Battlefield mission was Meng Ze's first time participating, and it was a rare opportunity for him to go all out, except for the convenience of counting the fractions deliberately removed from the firepower. Meng Ze was ready to send all his other warships. Meng Ze's fleet at this time is already quite large, and the fleet ready to be dispatched this time includes 60,000 Starfire-class frigates, 6,000 Starfire-class destroyers, 2,500 Starfire-class battleships, 300 Starfire-class cruisers, 50 Planet-class motherships, 1,000 Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships, not counting Starfire-class cruisers, with a total of 230 billion main gun firepower. This data has exceeded the combat power of the Bun boss when he formed a group with the dog-headed Bun boss for the first time and did the point task. Even now, although the total combat power of Meng Ze's fleet is still a little worse than the dog's head Bun, the gap between the two sides is not too big, and the quality of Meng Ze's warships is still much higher. If the two sides go head-to-head, there is a high probability that Meng Ze will win. The fleet began to move. 3 frigates were in the forefront, acting alone. All the other ships form a conical lineup. The front-pointed cone of the tapered lineup is composed of 2,000 battleships in 2 levels, and the rest of the cone is surrounded by destroyers and frigates. In front of the inner layer is the 800-ship Prism-class battlefield monitoring ship, which serves as an auxiliary assistant to the battleship to prevent being concentrated by the enemy. On the inner periphery were 250 Starfire-class cruisers, designed to protect the flanks in the event of a surprise attack on them and delay time to adjust formations. The inner core is the Planet-class mothership, which is the supply center of the fleet and the transport ship of all planetary forces. Finally, the cone body is protected by 500 battleships, 50 Starfire-class cruisers, and 200 Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships. When the fleet is taken as a whole and the collective space jump is carried out, all the fleets will gather into a dense formation so that when the first battleship breaks through the dimensional space, the subsequent warships only need to provide the energy to maintain the dimensional space gap, which will greatly reduce the consumption and difficulty of the space jump and can also prevent mutual interference during the space jump. When the space jump is over, the entire fleet begins to spread out layer by layer. When the fleet formation is fully deployed, a huge cone-tail diameter of more than 20,000 kilometers and a depth of nearly 10,000 kilometers in front and rear will be Form 0. On the orders of Meng Ze, the fleet began to accelerate. The 3 frigates at the head were spaced 10 minutes apart, and one after another took the lead in breaking through the dimensional space and entering the space transition state. An hour later, in front of the main fleet, the bows of all battleships, the energy generated by the space engine began to gather in large quantities, and was synchronously adjusted by the artificial intelligence of the battleship. At the most cutting-edge point, the space opened up like water waves, and then little by little, it was instantly connected. The entire spatial structure seemed to become a curtain of water, and Meng Ze's warships passed through it one after another and disappeared. In just a few seconds, the area regained its calm and became empty. Through the command center, Meng Ze was able to cut into the fleet's perspective to see the picture of dimensional space navigation. In fact, it is some colorful graffiti like random spraying. This may also be because the perception ability of the battleship cannot be effective in the dimensional space. Meng Ze divided the 3 frigates and the main fleet on a large screen so that he could observe the situation at any time. On the console, small dots representing the fleet move slowly in the star map. If Meng Ze expands the star map, the fleet will be fixed in one place and not moving. This is a very graphic reflection of Meng Ze's seemingly powerful fleet, small in the void. At a distance of 200 light-years, it takes 2 full days. Meng Ze arranged for 3.5 G brain to monitor and idled himself. There are still thousands of warships at home, and Meng Ze does not waste it and directly invites the 2 of Doghead Buns and Doghead Dumplings to rub the mission rewards. Anyway, with their situation, what is lacking now is not attack power, but only the carrying capacity of Meng Ze mysterious-class battleships. With the combat strength of the 3 people now, in fact, there is no problem in doing the 4th-level team task, and the 3 of them tried to do it once. But after calculating the time and cost, it is not cost-effective to do the 3-level task. Especially the battleship of the Dog-Headed Bun 2, facing the 4th-level mysterious level Zerg interstellar force. Under the level gap, there will be losses if you are not careful, so it is temporarily shelved. Not only the Dog-Head Buns, after so many tasks, even the relationship between the Dog-Head Dumplings and Meng Ze is extremely close. Meng Ze rubs the reward. They naturally have no opinion, and even at their insistence. Even the distribution model has not changed. Brother Bun and Brother Dumplings, you 2 seem to be increasing your battleships a lot faster recently, Meng Ze said. The Dog-Headed Bun said proudly, "That's natural, I now have more than 100 space shipyards." Meng Ze, "Don't look at the number of battleships we have here, tell you, that's not all, I'm still attacking 2 resource stars at the same time." 55. How can there be so many battleships? Meng Ze was a little confused. To Meng Ze's question, the Dog-Headed Dumpling spoke first. "The main thing is the problem of resource and firepower ratio. You said that your mysterious class destroyer is 100 million, the main gun firepower is 10 million. And 100 million we can produce 5 legendary class destroyers, and the total firepower of the main gun is 12 million. If the bearing capacity is not considered, in terms of firepower ratio alone, the lower the level of the battleship, the higher the firepower exchanged for the same crystal or..." Of course, the account is not completely calculated that way, as if you can't use your tactics. The strong firepower of a single ship is actually more advantageous in many cases. It's just that when the resources are not so rich, more people are willing to consider the total firepower. The dumplings are right, but now we all regret 05, because the more we understand, the more we discover, and at a higher level, the importance of bearing capacity has greatly increased. 33 Dog-Head Buns added. Since you can't use your tactics at that time, I have deliberately paid attention to the issue of bearing capacity. I found that between the 4th-level ordinary, rare, and legendary class warships, there is a big gap in the ability to resist risks when jumping in space. For example, the dimensional storm I mentioned before, if it is graded according to the intensity. The ordinary class battleship can only barely guarantee that it will not be damaged in the dimensional storm of the 1st level. Strength, and the legendary class battleship can be unimpeded in the level 3 dimensional storm. As for the mysterious one, because it is too rare, I don't know. As for the other effects of bearing capacity, what has been found is the strength and resilience of the shield, as well as the stability of the attack. Meng Ze listened to the information summarized by the Dog-Head Bun and became more and more glad of his choice. He asked the Dog-Headed Bun, "Big guy, What test did you use? I designed a test framework myself, and then G-Brain filled it according to my settings and made a test record program. Then big guy, you pass a copy to me, and I will also test my battleship. Meng Ze said. Okay, I'll pass it on to you now, but you have to pay attention. This kind of thing must be kept secret. I don't believe that no one in the interstellar world thinks of this. But until now, have any of you heard of it? Doghead Bun Road. Meng Ze naturally hadn't heard of it. Doghead Dumplings also said that it was the first time they heard of this kind of thing from Doghead Buns. So, someone must have blocked the information. Meng Ze, especially you, your own battleship data. Don't leak it. The mysterious class battleship does not say that there is none, but it is absolutely none of them. Because the precondition of the mysterious class spaceship yard is the mysterious level physics laboratory, and many people do not know it at all. The dog-headed bun said solemnly. What? And this kind of thing. Meng Ze heard about this for the first time and was extremely shocked. Before he built the mysterious class spaceship yard without any prompts, it went very smoothly, so he thought that the spaceship yard was an independent building, and he could choose to build any level when he was promoted to the 3rd level. When the dog-headed bun found the difference in carrying capacity, Meng Ze also sent a message to overtake the Dream Corner and minus 90 degrees, so that when the two of them are level 3, they must build a mysterious class spaceship yard as much as possible. Who knew that there was such a limit? So, Meng Ze, you know the value of the mystic class of battleships. The results of your own tests, no one should tell, including me and Dumplings. There is no turning back, but you made the best choice. The dog head said. Then the dog-headed buns secretly sent a message to Meng Ze. The program is attached to the test data of my collection of normal class, rare class, and legendary class battleships. You can use it as a comparison. Don't give me your own data, even if you give it to me, except to satisfy curiosity. It is actually of little use, and the chance of encountering mysterious class battleship enemies is too small. 99. Seeing the information of the dog's head bun, Meng Ze's heart was moved. Along the way, the dog-headed bun boss really had nothing to say to him. Whether it is the information of the interstellar world or someone forced to support him, it is definitely a sincere contribution without any distractions. This time, if the dog-head bun does not say, Meng Ze does not know when to find the difference brought by the carrying capacity, or maybe not at all. The issue of carrying capacity is not only a question of the direction of development, but also has a very practical use in war. For example, the accuracy problem caused by the shaking caused by the attack on the battleship. Meng Ze has always felt that his battleship is pointing where to hit with little accuracy error. I thought that the battleship was like this, and I didn't think deeply about the reason inside. Now it seems that it is simply because the carrying capacity of its mysterious class battleship is too high, and the stability of the battleship is almost unaffected when attacked. This is definitely a very important factor in interstellar battles. Furthermore, knowing the comparative data of different levels of warships, it is completely possible to choose a more suitable battlefield to directly or indirectly reverse the direction of the war. Thank you, big guy. I'll take advantage of it. Meng Ze replied with a message. In the following time, several people have been doing tasks to brush points, and Meng Ze's planet has already been upgraded to the upper limit of level 4, 20,000 kilometers in diameter. Now continue to brush points in order to buy the 5th level of battleship drawings. With experience when upgrading from level 3 to 4, Meng Ze knew that the points of level 4 would not shrink when used to buy blueprints for a level 5 battleship. But that's about it. After upgrading the 5th level, in addition to the base planet can continue to expand, a large number of points are needed to buy planets, and finally build 703 to build a complete galaxy. But those, it is not suitable to use 4-level points. The shrinkage is too serious. The upgrade of the base planet to the upper limit of 20,000 kilometers in diameter of the 4th level has brought more benefits in addition to the expansion of its own usable area. The first is that the planetary force field shield is more stable and has a higher reduction rate for ultra-long-range attacks. The test results show that Meng Ze's planet has a whopping 99.9% reduction rate against ultra-long-range attacks. Second, it is more resistant to attacks, which is a side effect. For example, when Meng Ze and the dog-headed bun and the dog-head dumpling attacked together, even if they were cut by the planetary force field shield, they could also cause superstorms in the atmosphere. However, when the planetary force field shield is more stable, the superstorm may be reduced to an ordinary storm, and the impact on the aircraft in the planet is greatly reduced. In addition, as the planet becomes larger, the number of planetary force field amplifiers that can be placed increases, and the impact of the destruction of each planetary force field amplifier decreases. Not only that, Meng Ze now has a strength of up to 1 billion per planet, and the strength of the energy shield set for it is as high as 20 billion, which can be called perverted. Of course, the reason why Meng Ze's energy field shield can reach such a high strength is not only because of the amazing bearing capacity of the mysterious building, but also because the Star Spirit energy field shield technology it uses can achieve an effect comparable to level 5 at level 4. For 2 consecutive days, except for rest, Meng Ze used a small number of battleships to mix points with 2 pastry bosses. In consideration of the upcoming battle for the miraculous battlefield, Meng Ze changed his sleep time to daylight the next day. As long as AKA is around, Meng Ze has no difficulty sleeping whenever he wants. Because Meng Ze did not say how long to sleep, AKA was not polite and followed the mysterious silk thread to extract Meng Ze's causal information for 12 hours in a row. After such a long period of reinforcement, AKA feels that the space-time node where he lives has become extremely solid. As long as he does not wave too high, it will not be so easy to be discovered by the original civilization. The next step is naturally the expansion. Who wants a big house is not. Thinking of this, Arcana's strange fluctuating shape exuded joy. Meng Ze does not know that a certain intelligent life once called the West Tire Class T5537 Type 79 is using the promotion opportunity created by the sacrifice of all intelligent life in the civilization of the 8th level civilization, cause and effect, and extracts Meng Ze's causal information to build a space-time barrier. Even expansion is already being considered. If you know, it seems that it is nothing if you know. Maybe Meng Ze will help after all. AKA's lone creature seems too pitiful, at least Meng Ze thinks so. Another round of missions was completed, and Meng Ze saw that his battleship was close to the coordinates of the adventure battlefield, so he said goodbye to the bun boss and the dumpling brother. Starting from yesterday's program built by getting the dog's head bun, Meng Ze loaded it in the first place. This program can do a simple analysis of the external environment through the perception of the battleship. In just one day, Meng Ze learned from the analysis results of the program that the battleship group had encountered 2-dimensional storms. According to the grading set by the dog head bun, 1 level at a time, 1 level at a time. But not to mention their own main battleship cluster, even the frigates sailing alone did not issue any alarms, and they were extremely stable. The 2-day voyage was no thrill, and if Meng Ze hadn't ordered G-Brain to remind himself, maybe he wouldn't even know that the battleship had arrived. The frigate at the head was already very close to the target, and according to the feedback information, the brain gave a hint time, and the countdown was 3 minutes. Meng Ze zoomed in on the frigate, which was still a colorful light and shadow. But Meng Ze doesn't mind. He's looking forward to the scene that appears in the starry sky after the first ultra-long-range space jump is completed. Countdown to the end of the space transition. 10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. The space transition engine is down and is returning to normal space. The picture of the big screen changed instantly, and a battleship was like the most skilled swimming fish coming out of the water, with a beautiful posture and silently sliding out of the dimensional space. But then Meng Ze's face changed and he exclaimed, "Oops." 35. The coordinates of the adventure battlefield entered by Meng Ze are undoubtedly accurate, and the position of the frigate's ultra-long-range space jump is not bad. But it is precisely because of this that the problem is troublesome. Meng Ze had already entered the advance amount, but he did not consider that when the adventure battlefield appeared, many players would definitely appear in the star field. At this time, Not far in front of the Meng Ze frigate, it was densely packed with battleships, and it was too late for Meng Ze to dodge. Watched as the battleship slid over at a very high speed and then crashed into the frigate in front of him. The shield of the opposing frigate seemed to be weak, and it was immediately flattened and broken. The frigate that followed Meng Ze crashed into the hull of the opposing frigate, smashing it into pieces. 1199. The player seemed to freeze and did not react for a while. Meng Ze, on his side, quickly asked G-Brain to revise the parameters of the space jump according to the situation in the starry sky. After doing this, Meng Ze was about to send a zone message to find the player so that he could negotiate compensation. Unexpectedly, the other party suddenly turned the battleship and fired directly at Meng Ze's frigate. In the face of the attack of so many warships, Meng Ze's frigate is naturally not an opponent. Even if the shield strength is as high as 10 million, it will be quickly exploded. I'm special. Meng Ze was furious. What does it mean to fire directly without saying a word? I didn't mean it, and I didn't plan not to pay. Is this because I think that a single ship is a good bully? Meng Ze wanted to send a message on a regional channel to put down harsh words. But his main fleet was still more than 40 minutes away, and Meng Ze simply didn't say anything, disappearing more than the player whose battleship crashed into the Meng Ze frigate. The moment his fleet fired, in fact, he knew that he was impulsive. Since the opponent's frigate can easily crash into its own frigate and be unscathed, it is obviously more than one cut higher than its own battleship. But now that the wood is ready, it is too late to regret it. Disappear a lot of speculation about the opponent's frigate, most likely the advanced battleship of the Pathfinder, but hope that this is only a reconnaissance ship of the other side. If it is the former, he will definitely have to run, and if it is the latter, he still has a chance to stay in the battlefield of adventure. Bet or not. Disappearing for a while, the inner hesitation, extreme suffering, the opportunity to encounter the battlefield is too rare. On Meng Ze's side, the first frigate was lost, and the view to the other side of the adventure battlefield was lost. Now it depends on whether the other party will run. If the other party runs, Meng Ze will not chase. Losing the qualification to compete on the battlefield of adventure is the price paid by the other party. Although Meng Ze feels that at the level of the other party, even if he stays in the battlefield of strange encounters, it is estimated that he will not have any chance. A few minutes later, Meng Ze's second Pathfinder frigate jumped out of dimensional space, and the scene of the adventure battlefield reappeared on the large screen and holographic projection. Actually still there? Sure enough, the money is moving. Meng Ze was surprised by the other's lack of fear of death, and disappeared for more than the first time found Meng Ze's second Pathfinder frigate, and immediately knew that he had no chance. Immediately began to assemble the battleships and prepare for evacuation. However, mobilizing the battleship, steering, and accelerating all take a certain amount of time, giving Meng Ze the possibility of revenge. Wisdom brain, calculating time and orientation. Since the other party wasted so much time, Meng Ze didn't mind teaching him a lesson if he had the chance. Coordinates ZQ 11785.2658, A.65842, azimuth ZQ 7, XS 8, predict the other party's second speed of 9,200. The intelligent brain reports the analysis information. Modify the space transition coordinate parameters. Once you jump out of the dimensional space, the main gun is immediately charged. Seeing the opponent's speed, Meng Ze knew he only had one chance to shoot. On the other side of the battlefield, the action of disappearing more than a few naturally attracted everyone's attention, and many people set their sights on the side with a schadenfreude mentality. There are even people who have begun to bet on whether they can escape smoothly after disappearing a lot. Regional channels. Xiqing Cold Moon. I Xiqing Cold Moon. Open the market now. Bet on who can escape without injury. Odds 3:1. Bet that he can escape more than 80%. Odds 2:1. Bet that he can escape 60% to 80%. Odds 1:1. Bet on him to escape 50% to 60%. Odds 1:2. Bet on escaping less than 50%. Odds 1.5. To bet on the speed of bet. The market is only open for 10 minutes. 35. The Xiqing cold moon market was not blind. He had calculated the number of fleets that disappeared more than once, and the possible time for Meng Ze's arrival. As is common practice, Meng Ze should only have one attack at most. And for him, winning or losing doesn't matter. Being able to bet is the happiest thing. Ships on the coast. I can escape 60% to 80%. 500 million crystal mines. Protect the radish. I can also escape 60% to 80%. 300 million crystal mines. Treasure gourd. I can escape more than 80% of the 500 million crystal, or by pressing him. Meng Ze saw that as soon as this market opened, more than a dozen people actually bet within a few minutes and couldn't help but also send messages on regional channels. Meng Ze, aren't you afraid that you won't get your bet? Protect the turnips. Haha. You actually don't know Xiqing Cold Moon. He is a famous gambler within a radius of hundreds of light years, and he has a good reputation. 55. West Side Cold Moon. Meng Ze, let's gamble. Meng Ze, no, I think I have a high winning rate. 35. Xiqing Leng Yu, come on, picture a happy picture. I'm not afraid of you winning. I'm leaning, isn't this sending me money? On Meng Ze's large screen, G-Brain analyzes the fire of the battleship when attacking the frigate more than once, and obtains the information that the opposing ship is a rare class. Rare-class battleships, for Meng Ze, only need the same type of battleships to attack one-on-one, and under one blow, at least 70% of the opponent's battleships can be killed. Xiqing Cold Moon. The market is about to close. Meng Ze, let's participate. Xiqing Cold Moon is still warmly inviting. Meng Ze, if you insist on this, then I will be embarrassed. I will squeeze away less than 50%. 10 billion. 35. Meng Ze thought about it, but still meant it and didn't make a ruthless move. But when others saw Meng Ze's stake, they didn't think so. Protect the turnips. Meng Ze, are you so sure? Is it preparing to bankrupt Xiqing Cold Moon? Ships on the coast. This brother, you have to think clearly. With such a large amount, you can't afford to lose, right? Treasure gourd. It's actually a local tycoon cold. Xiqing Cold Moon. Brother Meng Ze, I can take this bet of yours, but you still have a chance to change your words. Are you sure you want to press? If you lose, it is a bad rule not to want to give it. Xiqing Leng Yu reminded Meng Ze that he didn't say what would happen if the rules were broken, but it would certainly not be easy to calculate. Meng Ze, sure, don't worry, this mine. Losing a point will not lose you, but I win. How much should it be? Xiqing Cold Moon. That's natural, willing to bet and lose. 50 billion, I can afford it in this case. The bet is established. Because of Meng Ze's participation, the market suddenly increased to more than 10 billion. Everyone's attention to disappearing a lot immediately became higher. More than 30 minutes passed quickly. On Meng Ze's side, the countdown has entered to the end of the space jump of the main fleet. As the countdown ended, Meng Ze's huge capital battleship group pierced the water like a huge spike, and the surrounding space rippled. Xiqing Leng Yu, who had been staring at the scene, felt a chuckle in his heart and suddenly had a bad premonition. As soon as Meng Ze's battleship group entered the normal space, it immediately unfolded according to plan, and at the same time, all the main guns of the battleships lit up with a charged light. The position of the opponent's battleship is tens of thousands of kilometers different from what the wisdom brain predicted, but it has little impact on the attack distance of the battleship that is up to millions of kilometers. After disappearing, I saw the huge group of warships that appeared near my fleet, and my soul was almost scared out. Although from the number of battleships, it seems that the number of their own warships is relatively large. But the opposing battleships are at least one level higher than his, and a look at the number of destroyers and battleships can estimate that the total firepower of the opposing fleet is definitely more than double the total firepower of his fleet. At this time, he disappeared more than a little and turned into a battleship engine, accelerated his battleship group, and quickly entered the jump speed to escape. But Meng Ze, on his side, apparently didn't give him much time. As the formation unfolded and the main and secondary guns were all ready, Meng Ze immediately gave the order. 710 assigned targets, free fire. 35. According to Meng Ze's order, the intelligent brain instantly assigned targets to each warship according to the target information. In an instant, countless beams, balls of light, and meteors shot out from the muzzles of various types of battleships, illuminating the entire void. The distance between the two sides is less than 600,000 kilometers. The attack of the battleship is instantaneous. Suddenly, countless fireballs burst out in the starry sky. Detect target information. Soon, G-Brain gave feedback. Target damage rate, 97%. Is there a supplementary attack? Forget it. Seeing that the other party only had a few hundred battleships left to flee in a hurry, Meng Ze was too lazy to start. Originally thought that I could take out the opponent more than 7 layers, but I didn't expect that my battleship secondary artillery was so powerful and the main and auxiliary guns hit together, and the other party only had 2 or 3 kittens left. This lesson is definitely profound enough. Meng Ze's side was surprised by its firepower. Everyone else in the starry sky was stunned. Even Shiqing Yu, who holds himself with his own fleet, can't help but stir a spirit. This is definitely a mysterious class battleship, I wipe. There are actually so many. Shiqing Cold Moon's own is a legendary class fleet, and this kind of firepower intensity is simply impossible for his battleships to achieve. After several minutes of coldness, regional channels suddenly broke out. Treasure Gourd. What kind of battleship is this? It's not a legendary level 1. It's too fierce. Dia Jai. Which big guy belongs to this fleet? Bubble up. Let the little brother worship it. Ships on the coast. It doesn't feel like a legendary class battleship. It's too strong. Protect the Radish. I also think so. I asked the player just now. It disappeared a lot. His is a rare class battleship. Actually directly killed. Treasure Gourd. Rare class battleship players dare not speak. A group of players were noisy on the regional channel, and Meng Ze looked around and did not see Shiqing Cold Moon speak. Meng Ze, West City Cold Moon, how to cash the bet. As soon as Meng Ze's words came out, there was a cold scene, and everyone reacted. Meng Ze won a bet of up to 50 billion, and everyone else lost. Protect the turnips, my money. Gourd, my money. Diage, my money. 35. Protect the turnips, get out of the way upstairs, and you're not participating. Shiqing Cold Moon, Meng Ze brother, rest assured, there will definitely be no less of you. Wait for you to put a thing with a price of 50 billion, I will buy it directly, but the handling fee has to be paid by yourself. I see that you do not receive stranger information there, add a friend? Meng Ze, okay, put things on, I'll talk to you privately. The two parties agreed. Meng Ze rummaged through the inventory, took out a rare-grade enhanced gene reagent harvested a long time ago, produced by the ruins of the new district, and then sent it to Shiqing Cold Moon after the price of 50 billion. Brotherly atmosphere. Shiqing Yu praised, after all, a rare-grade strengthening gene reagent costs hundreds of millions. AFDF. Subsequently, Shiqing Cold Moon did not delay and bought it directly. After deducting the platform fee, Meng Ze suddenly recorded 45 billion. Having made an easy fortune, Meng Ze was in a good mood. Shiqing Yu sent a message. That fleet is yours, Meng Ze brother, right? Meng Ze didn't deny it. Mysterious level? Yes. Brother Meng Ze, I'm in your pit. Shiqing Cold Moon Road. Ha ha. I'm sorry to say I'm sorry. But it's okay, my Shiqing Yu has always been willing to gamble and lose. 35. Meng Ze sent a like to Shiqing Cold Moon, and the other party was still very happy to give money. Brother Meng Ze, how about we join forces later? Shiqing Yu suddenly asked. How to join forces? Let's talk about it. This is my first encounter on the battlefield. Meng Ze's first participation in the adventure battlefield is not very clear about the specific situation, and he does not mince words, revealing his shortcomings. You are really generous. You dare to send so many battleships for the first time. Shi Qinglong's words don't know whether they are praise or disparagement, but Meng Ze doesn't care. Then Shi Qinglong did not talk nonsense and said, after the Chiyue battlefield is stabilized, there will be more or less star gates, as few as 3, up to 9, and entering the star gate is the real entry into the Chiyue battlefield. 35. The more star gates, the higher the level of the adventure battlefield, the more treasures, the better. 3 to 5 gates, guarding up to 4 levels inside. 6 to 7 gates, guarding up to 5 levels. 8 to 9 gates. There will be 6 levels of guards inside. But no matter how many star gates there are, players can't all enter. There are now hundreds of players in the starry sky, but each stargate can only pass a maximum of 10 players, so the usual practice is to clear out some of the surrounding players first. If you don't clean up part of it first, no one can get in, and even if you force it in, you won't have the strength to get the treasure. There's a saying in the adventure battlefield called sifting. Any player who passes through the stargate first will be attacked by the players behind, and if you don't clean up most of it first, the level 5 players will be beaten to half crippled. You mean cooperating is teaming up to clean up other players? Meng Ze asked. Yes, wait to see the specific location of the stargate. We both choose the same stargate to enter, and clean up the other players around the stargate in advance to ensure the safety when entering. Shiching Cold Moon is naturally true to ask Meng Ze to join forces, and at the same time, he is also afraid that Meng Ze will make a mess when the time comes, and maybe he will become a victim. There's no problem with this, but what about after you go in? The location of entering the battlefield of adventure through the Stargate is random, and when you go inside, you naturally look at your own opportunities. Okay then. 35. Meng Ze agreed to the plan of Shiching Cold Moon teaming up. To be honest, in the melee, Meng Ze is not afraid. He brought thousands of Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships this time, in case of being fired. As long as he is not fired, with the shield of his mysterious class battleship, he is not very worried about scattered attacks. Losses are inevitable, but certainly within acceptable limits. After talking with Shiching Cold Moon, Meng Ze asked Jibrain to review the reason for the previous prediction error. The result left Meng Ze speechless, as the opposing ship accelerated too slowly. Meng Ze's wisdom brain did not store performance data on rare-class battleships, so it used the data of legendary-class battleships to speculate. At this time, the brain also calculated the speed of the opponent's space jump, 30,000 kilometers per second based on the spatial fluctuation reaction of the opponent's battleship detected. Meng Ze's warship not only accelerates much faster than the opponent, but also only needs to travel at a speed of 10,000 kilometers per second for space jumps. Calling up the data reserved by the dog-headed bun, the speed requirement for the space jump of the legendary class battleship is 20,000 kilometers per second. As for the rare and normal grades, there is no data given by the dog-head bun. These small details, when Meng Ze and the dog-head bun and others do the task together, Meng Ze can't find it at all. Because the orders he issued will only be such as speed 500 degrees, speed 1000, etc., and the speed mismatch between fleets will be automatically synchronized by the wisdom brain, and the wisdom brain will not feed back these little things to the commander. These basic performance knowledge of spaceships, which should itself be the domain of commander's self-learning, is also what Meng Ze lacks. Time passes little by little. Meng Ze's ship group is also close to the birthpoint of the adventure battlefield. Thinking about the melee ahead, Meng Ze adjusted the formation to a spherical lineup. The outer layer is battleships, destroyers, cruisers. The inner layer is frigates and Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships, and the most central is naturally the Planet-class mothership. The cruiser's hypergravity wave cannon can interfere with the fire of other warships, but when used properly, it can also be used to distort the fire of enemy ships. There are many advantages and disadvantages of this kind of battleship, so the commander is required to have a high ability to grasp the timing. Lining up the formation, Meng Ze waited while curiously observing the so-called adventure battlefield. The unformed battlefield of adventure is actually a chaotic field of unstable shapes blooming with chaotic colors, and the light of various colors is actually various waves and particles emitted by the instability of space. Violent spatial fluctuations spread outward from the Chiyu battlefield, affecting the spherical space with a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. But the strange thing is that this diffusion is not like the usual spatial diffusion, gradually weakening, but has always been the same intensity and suddenly disappeared at the edge of the spherical space, as if it was limited by something within this area. During this time period, all player battleships cannot approach this area, and once inside, the battleship will soon be torn to pieces by spatial fluctuations. Under Meng Ze's observation, this continued for several hours. At some point, a spherical halo violently spread out from the chaos field. Brother Meng Ze, pay attention, the Stargate is about to appear. Xiqing Longyu sent a message to remind. Sure enough, this aura looked like it was about to spread to the edge of the area, but it suddenly contracted into 6 points, and then these points began to grow rapidly. At this moment, all the player fleets began to move. The regional field is gone. Stargate coordinates: ZQ1178.2657C.65877. Xiqing Cold Moon sent a Stargate coordinate. Meng Ze's fleet suddenly turned around, and at this time, all the players who sailed towards the Stargate were his enemies. The main guns of the battleship began to charge, and all secondary guns opened fire freely. Because players are crowded in this small star field, no matter which direction they go, they can attack others at will. Meng Ze himself faces attacks from all sides. At this time, the Prism-class battlefield monitoring ship has become the most beautiful cub on the battlefield. Especially in the face of the cruiser's hypergravity wave cannon attack, if there is no space-blocking force field of the Prism-class battlefield monitoring ship to block and scatter it, it will really become the scene of the tragedy, a dozen and a large area. The Meng Ze cruiser is mysterious and powerful, and every time the main guns of other capital battleships are attacked, the cruiser is randomly cleared. Other players must have several or even 10 spatial blocking force fields to distort and scatter them. No player behind Meng Ze dared to follow, but the players in front of him, up and down, left and right, suffered. One is not careful, and the small half of the fleet is gone. Regional channels, scolding. As for Meng Ze himself, whenever the shield of the peripheral battleship is reduced to less than 50%, he starts rotating inside and out. But there were too many enemies, the attacks were too dense, and the number of Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships was insufficient, and in addition to the massive fire gathering against important warships and the attack of cruisers that had to be blocked, Meng Ze also selectively gave up the protection of some places. And among those battleships that lost protection, except for battleships because the shield was too high, the error tolerance rate was large and there was no loss. From time to time, frigates, destroyers, and even cruisers are blown up. After a period of chaotic battles, the number of warships on the battlefield dropped rapidly. Some players were directly cleared, and some players also took the initiative to stay away from the battlefield because of excessive losses, giving up the opportunity to encounter the battlefield. The distance between the players gradually widened, and the surrounding area of Meng Ze was even more empty, and all the players were far away. Near the Stargate, except for Xiqing Cold Moon, everyone else consciously retreated to the periphery to avoid being targeted by Meng Ze. 0. Beg for flowers. After all, in addition to the places occupied by Meng Ze, when they enter, there are still 8 places to compete for. Brother Meng Ze, get your light. Xiqing Longyu was very glad of her previous choice. On this battlefield, while Meng Ze may not be the strongest player, it is certainly one of the strongest. I didn't see that even the other 2 level 5 players did not choose the same Stargate as them. Shi Qinglongyu also deliberately noticed that there was originally a level 5 player who was ready to go in this direction, but then suddenly turned to a different stargate. This is not necessarily because I am afraid of Meng Ze, but because I feel that it is not worth fighting at this time. Of course, this is also a recognition of Meng Ze's strength. No matter what can be said, it is also you who are strong, so others dare not fight, Meng Ze said. Seeing Meng Ze's information, Shiqing Cold Moon didn't think so. His strength is indeed at the forefront of the surrounding players, but there's definitely no such strong deterrent as Meng Ze, and there are at least 3 or 4 people in the surrounding area who are similar to him. 0. Why others dare not come over, it is obvious that they are afraid of Meng Ze. Will it be sifted later? Meng Ze asked. The 2 of us won't, the others have already recognized your strength. You are qualified to enter, as for me, dip brother your light. Others estimate that there will be some fighting, and, even if they win, they will inevitably have to screen once. What Shi Qinglongyu said is actually the default rule of the adventure battlefield. The previous clearance battle is when players show their strength, when your strength is significantly higher than others, and after being recognized by everyone, no one will screen you so unobtrusively. After all, it is not cost-effective to marry such an enemy. But if everyone has similar strength and can't get in by themselves, they will definitely have to export their anger. Although the growth of the Stargate is fast, it will take an hour. After all, the final formed Stargate is at least hundreds of kilometers in diameter. With such a width, Meng Ze's battleship group also has to line up to go in, which is also when the defense is weakest, and the most difficult part of the sifting is here. Meng Ze counted his losses. The Starfire-class frigates had the weakest shields and the most losses, having exploded more than 700. Starfire-class destroyers, more than 90 were lost. Starfire-class cruisers, 8 lost. The Prism-class battlefield monitoring ship lost 1. The other warships were unscathed. Overall, the result is acceptable. Anyway, Meng Ze probably saw that Shiqing Cold Moon next to him lost at least 1/6 of the battleship. In comparison, Meng Ze this loss can only be regarded as drizzle. After more than half an hour, the Stargate finally stopped expanding and gradually stabilized. It is said to be a gate, but it is actually a natural space channel, a circle with a diameter of about 500 kilometers. Around the natural Stargate, the boundary is difficult to see with the naked eye, and only through the instruments of the battleship can obvious spatial fluctuations be found. This boundary is risky, and when passing through the Stargate, you need to keep a certain distance from the boundary. Meng Ze was the first to pass, which is the right of the strong. The whole passage, Meng Ze has long made the wisdom brain prepare. Although Shiqing Cold Moon said that according to the default rules, Meng Ze will not be attacked by players. But just in case, Meng Ze arranged destroyers as the vanguard, frigates and planet-class motherships in the center, battleships, cruisers, Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships behind the hull. The whole passage is without surprise. After passing through the Stargate, Meng 717, Ze quickly reorganized the fleet into a circular formation to prevent attack. Prepared for it, Meng Ze watched carefully as it appeared on the holographic projection. The adventure battlefield is a rather magical space, a bit like a subworld in the interstellar world. Entering this space, Meng Ze's star map is naturally unusable and can only be relied on only the perception ability of the battleship itself. Among all warships, the perception and detection capability of the Prism-class battlefield monitoring ship is naturally the most powerful and even can replace the space observatory to a certain extent. When fine detection is not carried out, the range of up to 1 light-year can be detected, and fine detection can also ensure a distance of about 100 million kilometers. There are obviously more things in interstellar space in the adventure battlefield. Just in an area of 100 million kilometers, Meng Ze found a lot of things such as meteorites, asteroids, and the like, and 40 million kilometers away, found a fleet parked in the void without moving. Guard the fleet. Meng Ze's eyes lit up. As soon as he came in, he found out, which excited Meng Ze. The capital ship group turned around and flew towards the place where the guard fleet was present. On the way, Meng Ze divided into 50 teams, each with 20 destroyers and 200 frigates, to protect the Prism-class battlefield, monitoring ships and search in all directions. The adventure battlefield only lasted one day, and Meng Ze had to explore as many areas as possible in a limited amount of time. There are so many messy things, and if you are not careful, space jumps and curvature navigation can become the scene of a ship disaster. Meng Ze divided the fleet into two parts, with a small fleet of 100 destroyers and 3 Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships in front, and the main force of the fleet in the rear. The small fleet leads the way in front, planning the navigation route and smashing small stars, meteorites, etc. that affect the channel. The main forces of the fleet are in the rear, sailing along the channel opened by the pilot fleet. The distance of 40 million kilometers is not far for Starfleet. With Meng Ze increasing the speed of the fleet to 20,000 kilometers per second, it arrived in more than half an hour. In the void, the guard fleet composed of tens of thousands of warships also discovered the arrival of Meng Ze, turned the direction of the fleet in advance, and began to charge the muzzle. At this time, Meng Ze was still 3 million kilometers away from the other party. It's a little early to charge now, isn't it? Seeing the other party's situation, Meng Ze was a little puzzled. But Meng Ze's doubts did not last long, and as the light of the main gun of the guard fleet flashed, countless tiny ripples suddenly waved in the void in front of the Meng Ze fleet, less than 2,000 kilometers away. The dense attack suddenly appeared in front of Meng Ze's main fleet. Eye wipe. Hyperspace long-range strike. Even if Meng Ze hadn't seen it, he could guess what it was. Meng Ze's first target was the Tier 5 fleet. I don't know if it's good luck or bad luck. Encountering the Level 5 guard fleet, Meng Ze obviously had no choice, and the fleet did not dare to slow down and rushed forward against the opponent's attack. However, it seems that the guard fleet is not very smart. The opponent's attacks always appear from the front of the fleet, and there is no fire, so most of them are carried by the battleships. If it were Meng Ze, he would have allowed artillery fire to appear directly in the center of the opposing fleet, hitting vulnerable targets and, if possible, focusing on important targets. I wonder if hyperspace attacks can gather fire? However, thinking about the difficulty should be very large. The hyperspace attack itself is already difficult, and if you want to synchronize the attack in hyperspace, the difficulty is estimated to be higher than the sky. Meng Ze said heartily. The main guns of the 5th-tier battleships were recharged very quickly, and in about a minute Meng Ze had to be shelled by the opposing destroyers and frigates, and in about 2 minutes it was a round of shelling by battleships. Meng Ze's battleships are okay and very resistant, but as long as the destroyer is hit 3 or 4 times, it must be exploded, and the frigate can only resist twice 0. In each round of attacks, thousands of frigates and hundreds of destroyers exploded, becoming fireworks in the stars. Meng Ze had never suffered such a big loss and felt his heart dripping blood. The fleet on the opposite side is absolutely legendary, and the attack firepower is really strong. Fortunately, however, the cruiser does not seem to be able to carry out hyperspace attacks, otherwise I will definitely have to account here. Meng Ze deduced the enemy's ship rating based on the intensity of the attack, and at the same time rejoiced. In 2 minutes, Meng Ze was shelled for 4 rounds, and the other side finally entered the range of the Meng Ze destroyer and frigate, and the main guns that had been prepared for a long time flashed, and dense artillery fire flew towards the guarding fleet. Meng Ze did not dare to gather large-scale fire. The opponent's detection ability is obviously much stronger than his own, and large-scale fires are too easy to be blocked. At the same time, Meng Ze also discovered how difficult it is to have no hyperspace attack ability, and it takes several seconds just to fly under artillery fire. Fortunately, the guard fleet did not move, and most of Meng Ze's fire hit. The opponent's shield fluctuated, and even thousands of warships could not withstand the attack, becoming fireworks in the starry sky. The two sides have drawn closer to within 1.2 million kilometers. Meng Ze's battleships also began to fire fiercely, and the two sides entered the phase of fire and merge. Meng Ze's fleet also began to slow down, increasing the accuracy of firing. At this distance, even if it is a 5th-level battleship, in the face of Meng Ze, it does not dare to turn around and retreat, otherwise it will only become a target. Meng Ze's shield is not weaker than the opponent, even stronger, and the 3.5 firepower is a big advantage, and he is not afraid of such a fight. Battleships explode one by one, and with each attack round, a large number of battleships on both sides will become the dust of the universe, but the further back, the more obvious Meng Ze's number of battleships and firepower advantage become. From the beginning of the engagement to the end of the battle, it lasted less than 20 minutes. But in this short period of time, the losses of warships on both sides exceeded 20,000. Meng Ze saw the data counted by the wisdom brain, and he was so distressed that he couldn't breathe. Starfire-class frigates suffered more than 9,800 combat losses, destroyers suffered more than 1,300 battle losses, battleships lost 74 battleships, cruisers lost 2 battleships, and Prism-class battlefield monitoring ships suffered 9 battle losses. In addition to the battle damage, there are also those damaged that can be repaired, and there are more than 3,000 ships in this regard. The reason why there is much more damage than damage is because as long as the shield is broken, the body of the battleship is too fragile. Such a big loss, I don't know what kind of treasure I can find to get it back. Just the battleships damaged in the battle, worth more than 360 billion. Meng Ze looked at the starry sky, piles of battleship wreckage, looking around for possible treasures. Why is there nothing? After looking at it for a while, except for the wreckage of the battleship, Meng Ze didn't find anything. What exactly were those guarding fleets? Did you not find the right way, or did you really fight lonely? Meng Ze was a little anxious. Big Bun Guy, how to hunt for treasure in the battlefield. I wiped out a fleet of guards, but I didn't find out where their guards were. Meng Ze hurriedly dialed the dog's head Bun for advice. Haha. Dude, what do you think they're guarding? It's on those ships. The dog-headed Bun laughed. The battleships have been beaten to ruins by me. Is that thing gone? Meng Ze exclaimed. No, you quickly send air troops to search the place of high-energy reaction. That's where the treasure is. Remember to be fast. About 2 hours after the fight to 05, the high-energy reaction will disappear. No matter what it is, you can't find it. The dog-headed Bun reminded. I'm wiping. It's been more than 20 minutes. Big guy, I'll go treasure hunting. Let's not talk about it. Meng Ze hurriedly hung up the communication and directed the fleet to speed up to the wreckage of the guarding fleet. Millions of space assault ships and sky mechs were sent out by Meng Ze to search the battlefield for high-energy reactive items. The whole search process is very difficult because in addition to the treasure is a high-energy reaction, there are many high-energy reaction things on the wreckage of the battleship, such as naval guns, engine wreckage, and the like. Fortunately, after finding the first treasure, She-Brain discovered the difference between the treasure energy response of the treasure and the high-energy reaction of other things, which greatly reduced the difficulty of searching. 1, 2, 3. All the treasures are packed in a small box of characteristics and Meng Ze doesn't know what's inside, but every time he finds a treasure box, Meng Ze is excited. In the end, in the ruins of this battlefield, Meng Ze's search team found a total of 20 treasure boxes, which is a great gain. Of course, whether you can return to the capital in the end depends on the result of opening the treasure box at the end. After the war was over here, Meng Ze's previous reconnaissance team had discovered 2 other guard fleets. Judging by the results of the fire test, one should be a 4th-level legendary class fleet, and the other is a 4th-level rare class fleet. This result greatly relieved Meng Ze, and he knew that the adventure battlefield should not be so perverted. If they were all strong fleets like the ones he had just encountered, it was estimated that the players who came in this time would not win more than 3, and this was even counting himself. First of all, I chose a 4th-level legendary guard fleet. After all, the stronger the guard fleet, the higher the probability of harvesting good things. It took nearly 2 hours to rush to the location of the reconnaissance, and it did not take much effort to destroy the fleet. He then spent an hour searching for the wreckage and found 5 treasure boxes, which were greatly reduced compared to the 5-level fleet. The journey to the third location took longer, more than 3 hours. As a result, the battle took less than 5 minutes, and 2 treasure boxes were finally found. These meteorites and asteroids on the battlefield are really in the way. The speed of the fleet did not dare to be raised too high, for fear of accidentally crashing into it. For this situation of starting a war for 5 minutes and rushing for 3 hours, Meng Ze is very complaining, but helpless, who let the battlefield of adventure be like this. After fighting the third fleet, Meng Ze had no goal for the time being, and simply did not understand the place, waiting for feedback from the exploration fleet. With Ji Brain in charge of monitoring, Meng Ze cuts his vision back to his base star. Before the tense war situation, Meng Ze did not distract and use both, and at this time, when he was free, he sent a communication to the dog's head Bun. "Bun boss, what are you busy with?" "Attacking the resource planet," the dog-headed Bun replied. Meng Ze's tactic of weakening the planet's shield by space jumping, dog-headed Buns can't be used, so it's still very difficult to fight. Before, the dog-headed Bun also wanted to try Meng Ze's tactics of showing weakness to the enemy, but he was almost beaten to real weakness. After research, it was discovered that the planet Zerg is estimated to be based on the number of warships to judge the strength and weakness. Meng Ze's thousands of warships are a sign of weakness, and his thousands of warships almost can't really do the Zerg. Both tactics can't be used, you can only fight honestly, and the dog-headed Bun feels quite hard. Fortunately, he is now strong. As long as he dismantles one planetary force field amplifier, he can forcibly destroy the second one by the fleet. The difficulty of attacking the planet has generally decreased a lot. "Do or not do the task?" Meng Ze asked directly. "Aren't you in the adventure battlefield? Are you free now?" the dog-headed Bun asked curiously. After 3 fights, the start time was just over half an hour, and it took 4 or 5 hours to run. Meng Ze said speechlessly. "Haha, this is normal. The battlefield of adventure really can't get up quickly. However, it doesn't seem to take long for you to find 3 guard fleets, and you are lucky. Once I was in the battlefield of strange encounters, and I did not find a guard fleet for 50 or 60 hours, and I was extremely unlucky." The dog-headed Bun sighed. "Big guy, I have 50 exploration fleets looking for it. How many did you send at that time?" "It's not too few. There are more than 20. There are still moving interstellar species in the adventure battlefield. Your small fleet should also be careful. Don't be swallowed." Dog-Ed Bun rode. "I haven't met it yet. I don't know what the big guy's talking about 720. Meng Ze looked curious. "Interstellar creatures, but not large groups like the Zerg, but a small group of a few dozens, or even the kind that lives alone. Interstellar creatures are generally very large. Small may be similar to motherships, large even comparable to planets. You pay more attention. The task will not be done for the time being. Wait until you come out of the adventure battlefield." 5. "Okay," Meng Ze said regretfully. Meng Ze arranged the instructions of the dog-headed Bun to Ji Brain and asked Ji Brain to give the exploration fleet the command to encounter interstellar creature prompts. Meng Ze is actually curious about what interstellar creatures look like and is ready to meet and take a closer look. Lie down in the commander's chair and rest while looking at the picture in the holographic projection. As Meng Ze's fleet explores more, so does the range of holographic projection images. Meng Ze found himself a mistake to explore spherically like this, and if the 2 fleets were right on the diagonal, wouldn't he have to run a long way? If the spherical space is small, it will definitely be larger and larger in the back, and maybe it will take 1 or 20 hours to run in the end. Since he felt that this was inappropriate, Meng Ze immediately adjusted the direction of exploration. The fleets began to form a huge flat net, probing in one direction, and Meng Ze's main fleet, in the rear, followed not far away.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.